Am I the a-hole for making my family cancel their vacation because I won't watch their dogs? My parents, 82 male, 75 female, asked if I would help them book a much-needed vacation. They also asked me to do the same for my brother, 43, and sister-in-law, 33, because they wanted to take a family vacation in September. My husband, 46, and I, 41 female, can't afford to go because I am currently out of a job. Even though this would be the first family vacation I will have ever missed and it made me really sad, I said I would of course help. My mom even mentioned to me that in a way it's good because I'd be able to watch my brother's pugs and my parents' chihuahua. Here's the thing about watching the dogs. It's a 24/7 job that requires me to stay at my brother's house. The dogs are wonderful but very high maintenance. Because of this, I have been telling my brother for nearly 10 years that he needed to hire a dog sitter. Money isn't an issue for him. I've dog sat for them 3 times this past year, varying from 1 to 5 nights. They paid me well, but I do not feel comfortable staying at their house and I find the round-the-clock care exhausting. My husband and I have 5 cats, and we are no stranger to feeling like our pets are our kids, but we don't have dogs for a reason. Now I'm supposed to be booking this trip for my brother, but he hasn't even asked me about watching the dogs. Sunday at family dinner, everyone is there except my sister-in-law who was ill. My brother was sitting across from me, so I reach out to hold his hand and say that I love him. I love the pugs, but I can't watch them when they go on vacation and that he needs to get a dog sitter. I said it was just too much to ask me to be trapped at their house for 7 nights, and that I have been asking him to hire a dog sitter for nearly a decade. I even offer suggestions and said I'll help find someone. He starts to get reactive and says that they won't watch my cats anymore. I said that's fine, we have a cat sitter, but I point out that I asked them if they can help. They, on the other hand, didn't ask me. My brother finally concedes that it is a lot to ask 7 nights and 5 dogs. Excuse me? Yes, 5 dogs, because his mother-in-law apparently was planning to go too. So now added to the mix are 2 Italian greyhounds. I stay calm and gently point out that I felt this way before knowing there were 5 dogs. Can he imagine how I felt? He seemed to understand. By the time I left dinner, there were hugs and kisses and all was well. I knew my brother was upset, but he seemed to understand and I was really proud of putting up boundaries. The next evening, I call my parents to see if they have heard from my brother. Apparently, he called them after he got home from family dinner and was blindsided by me. My sister-in-law was just as upset as him too. They think I'm throwing a tantrum because I can't go on the vacation. While yes, that sucks, I told him my real issue is being trapped at their house for 7 nights. Now they are canceling the vacation because I won't watch the dogs. Am I the a-hole for telling them I won't do it?
Not the a-hole. They are grown people who had plenty of time to find arrangements for their dogs. Didn't they have somebody else to watch the dogs when you all traveled together? Is this a weird ploy to punish you by making you feel guilty or something? Seems reactive.
The only time we have all traveled together was for my brother's wedding, which the dogs came to. This would be an international beach trip which we haven't had in, I guess, over a decade. To be fair, he couldn't go on the last trip in 2015 and I went, but I only had 1 cat that had no special requirements at the time, so my roommate watched her. So I feel bad for him not being able to not going on a family vacation, although it feels self-induced to me at this point. But I am very emotional and I can't tell if my judgment is clouded.
Not going is his choice. He could pay a dog sitter if he wanted. He is blaming you to divert the blame from himself. You are doing what is best for you.
Not the a-hole. They can hire a pet sitter. It's not your household to take responsibility for. Edit. I also don't understand why they needed your help to book it.
Oops, I took that part out because I was way over the character limit. I can book like a travel agent and waive my commission so they can save a few hundred. I realize how awful that sounds in context of this post, but it's easy for me to do, and as someone that loves to do things for others but currently doesn't have the budget for it, it's something I'm happy to do.
Now they are canceling the vacation because I won't watch the dogs. Good. If they can't afford a pet sitter, then they can't afford the vacay. This is not your problem. Not the a-hole.
To be clear, they can afford to pay a professional, but they prefer to pay me because they trust me completely with the dogs in the house. I understand their anxiety as a pet owner myself, but I was not expecting to feel like the villain for this, which is why I thought maybe I was in the wrong somehow.
You literally save them who knows how much money booking their stuff for them. You're not a villain in any way, and if they're going to make you feel like that, you should stop using your travel resources to book them anything.
Not the a-hole. And I'm sorry that your family has been taking advantage of you so much this far. If it's not too big a deal for you to watch their five dogs for a week, then it's not too big a deal for them to pay someone else to do it, plain and simple. Even if they thought you were throwing a tantrum, they didn't need to cancel their vacation over it. And it's not your problem if they do. They can do whatever they would have done if you had planned to attend this vacation with the family in the first place. The fact that their first action was to pin this on you instead of finding another solution that might not even exist or might cost way more than they would pay you, because honestly, 5 dogs speaks volumes about how much labor you're actually putting in and how little they value you.
Update. My brother apologized and we were having a very good and calm conversation. We were getting to a point where I was willing to make a compromise because I finally felt heard. Then my sister-in-law, who had had an attitude the whole time, snappily said, "Okay, so what do we need to do to resolve this?" Things started to get heated because I felt her tension and tried to acknowledge it. I said that I was really hurt by my sister's-in-law actions. I left it out of my OG post, but she was complaining about helping me clean my house before my wedding. I later found out that she told my dad that I had moldy dishes in the sink, and that was humiliating. I said it hurt a lot when I learned she brought it up again as part of her argument why I should watch the dogs. She sarcastically said, "Oh, so I'm the villain." I said, "I feel like from what I have gathered from my parents this past week that you think I'm sabotaging this vacation because I'm jealous that I can't go. And if you think that, you really must not know me, and that hurts." And she said with the same rude tone as earlier, "I must not know you because that is 100% what I think." My eyes welled up because I felt like she had just sucker punched me. And she looked at me and said, "Here comes the temper tantrum." I stood up to leave. Then I turned around again and said over everyone yelling my name to calm down, "If you with all your time, money, and resources decide to not go on vacation, that is your own decision and not because of me." I got the hell out of the house and sat in the car until my husband came out. She was in my wedding. I have been so happy to have her as my sister-in-law. I have been nothing but loving to her. Now I see she doesn't give a fuck about me. I'm gutted. It's clear that she has zero respect for me and probably never even liked me. I'm devastated because my family is everything. And I feel like my relationship with my brother will forever be altered. She is not the person I thought she was. And now I'm not only not watching the dogs, but I guess I am also accepting that I don't have a sister like I thought I did.
Not the a-hole. Cut contact with the sister-in-law. They're mad because you won't watch their dogs and that's on them, not you.
I'm proud of you, OP. Your sister-in-law wants free service and is showing her true colors. Do not feel bad about the situation at all. If there is a villain, it's not you by any means.
Would I be the a-hole for excluding my sister-in-law's kids from coming on our boat? I, 43 male, have 2 kids, both 12 female, with my wife, 42 female. So, since it's summer, we've been going on a boat we own for the past few weeks, and last time, we offered to take my wife's sister's kids with us, and that was a complete shit show. First, sister-in-law didn't inform me her kids, 9 female and 7 male, are pretty seasick, and they threw up on my back, but that was the least of the problems. They kept trying to jump into the water for some reason, completely ignored water skiing instructions, which I explained 6 to 8 times, and almost pushed my daughters off of the boat while we were moving as a joke. When we got back, sister-in-law lectures me about how I could let her kids get seasick, which remember, I wasn't aware of. Lucky for them, my wife carries those white pill things. Then the kids complain I didn't let them do anything, which is untrue, because they gave water skiing a try, and they hated it, so then they did tubing, which they liked. That resulted in another telling off from my sister-in-law. Planning on going again this weekend, and I'm planning on taking my own sister's kids, 2 kids, my sister and her husband, and my wife's way older niece of another sibling, 20 female. Would I be the a-hole? My wife thinks that it's kind of mean, even though I really don't want to deal with that again.
Not the a-hole. No child should be allowed on a board with being told the rules. If they can't follow said rules, they shouldn't be on the boat.
Not the a-hole. Why would the sister-in-law even expect you to invite them after she and the kids basically said they had a terrible time because of seasickness, and you not letting them do anything? If for some irrational reason she's hurt by this, you honestly say you didn't think the kids would want to go again because of the aforementioned reasons.
Not the a-hole. Honestly, trying to push anyone off a moving boat earns a permaban all on its own.
Not the a-hole. Your boat, your rules. Ensuring safety and enjoyment for everyone involved is crucial, and it sounds like a lack of discipline and preparation on sister-in-law's part led to a risky and unpleasant experience. It's reasonable not to want a repeat of that situation. Plus, being proactive about who you invite on such outings is part of being a responsible boat owner.
If I were OP, they would have been dropped back off at the dock. I'd rather spend another $50 in gas taking them back than deal with these type of entitled people all day.
Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my wife's family move in with us, leading to them demanding repayment of a gift? My wife and I have always been open about our finances to her family. So for Christmas, her stepdad bought her a course to bring in more money. He is well off, and we believed this was his way to help. My wife did not ask for this. We decided to start our journey to have a baby, and we had open discussions with them about the financial implications for this procedure, us being lesbian. A few months later, we have had saving up for our donor and looked at profiles. Around the same time, they had a big fight and mother-in-law moved in with us. After a few days, she realized that she had to go back to him because, in her words, cannot have the lifestyle she wants without him. We supported her decision as it is her decision. A week later, they decided to move house. Just before they found another house, she called me. She asked if the two of them and their 4 dogs could move in with us for a month. They won't be able to really contribute. They would be using this period to save up for moving expenses. I told her I would chat to her daughter first. Her mom was aggressive with me over the phone and implied that we had no choice as they have done so much for us in the past. When my wife heard what her mother asked, she was upset and called her. The conversation went bad, and it came out that they have been keeping record of everything they have done for us and given us. He was expecting us to pay that course back. We had half the money saved up. So because we do not want to ever owe anyone, we paid that money over to them. This broke our hearts because it meant we were back at square one with saving for a baby. What happened after this was almost worse. Her mom would come over and speak about how SHE was going to be the one decorating the nursery, etc. We haven't seen them since they moved. We used to spend every weekend doing something together, and we would be chatting over the phone. When we do call, she walks out of the room when he comes in. And we heard from my wife's sister that her mom told her that we manipulated them by saying this money was for our donor, whilst we still just being honest. I don't want contact anymore. Am I the a-hole?
First off, not the a-hole, and I am sorry this set the IVF back. Secondly, you said he gave your wife the course, and he's well off. But why would they not be able to contribute to the household expenses while living with you? I respect that you don't want to owe anyone money, nor do you expect anything. That is a huge part of my thought process too. Bottom line, I wouldn't accept anything from them. And this can be done in a non-aggressive manner. Not every accusation or lie needs a response or a public response. You can get the truth out when needed in quieter ways. It sounds as if they give not to enjoy giving, but with the thought of giving with strings attached. They can move into a short-term rental. It's not your problem. Her comments about the nursery were cruel, and that in itself is reason to go low to no contact. Lastly, save toward your IVF and stay positive, and you will have your own family. You too can do this.
Everyone involved seems so messy. You gave them money though you didn't have to since it was a gift, then you still let them over after all that drama, seemingly not saying anything about the mother being pushy about decorating. I think you have to sort yourselves out more than just financially before you bring a baby into the mix.
Not the a-hole. Good people don't track exactly what they give their kids, and then expect to be paid back when they said it was a gift. That is completely unacceptable, and normally after paying them back, you would have gone low contact. You definitely need to disengage somewhat. Stop confiding in them, since they're using it against you. They're spending less time with you, and you see that as bad, but really it's for the best right now, while they're going through things. Use that time to develop friendships, stop relying on them so much for companionship.
Wait, so her dad gave a course to her as a Christmas gift and asked for the money back? What a fact. I would not allow either of her a-hole parents in your home again. No way is the mother having anything to do with a nursery if it were my home. They would be keeping track of all the baby gifts they give, and may expect repayment if they don't like some decision you make. Accept no gifts of any kind from them again. Do not allow them ever in your place of peace, privacy, and sanctuary. By the way, the mom openly admits she is staying with her husband for the money. SMH.
Am I the a-hole for calling out the volunteer church organizer after her awful actions after she made my daughter-in-law cry? My daughter-in-law lost both of her parents, her mother earlier this year and dad when she was 15. I love her like she is my own, and I am so proud of her and how far she has come. I am very involved in my church, and we were planning an event for mom's kids. It coincided with my monthly sack lunch ministry for seniors, so in the morning we'd all make the lunches and then we'd do other things. Make friendship bracelets, run around, grill, tie-dye, etc. My daughter-in-law is not religious, but she does like to give back, so when I invited her she accepted. We got the lunch supplies and she helped with the lunches. She even offered to go deliver them to the organization we work with since she has a big car. This is when the church organizer Kathy started an issue. She thanked my daughter-in-law and said that would be all we needed from her all day and she can go home after. I said no, daughter-in-law is here to spend the day with me and have fun with everyone. Kathy had the gall to make an ugly face and said she's not anyone's daughter. I said that's okay, she's my daughter-in-law if Kathy didn't know. Kathy made another ugly face and said that didn't count and that she didn't even belong here, which ruffled my feathers. Everyone should be allowed. If one of the dads wanted to come join us, I would have said yes. Who cares? We got into an argument and my daughter-in-law ended up crying. Again, she just lost her mom. She left and told me to have fun, and I rounded on Kathy and told her that what she'd just done was as unchristian as I'd ever seen, and that if she can't find it in her heart to welcome everyone to our events, she should not be the volunteer organizer. Kathy told me tough cookies if I don't like it to take it up with the church office. And a few other members overheard, and as I got ready to load up my van for the sack lunches, a few helped me and got to talking about how awful Kathy has been. After I left, they all cornered Kathy and said they would all talk to the church office. Well, she isn't the organizer anymore, and she has been for over 2 decades. She ended up confronting me after church, raising her voice, getting in my face, etc. She told me I had ruined her life over my daughter-in-law not belonging to the church and that she hopes I was happy. I admit I did feel bad after that, but I'm not sure if I should. P.S. Sorry if I do any of this wrong, I mostly use this app for art and crafts.
Not the a-hole. They say Christians should ask themselves, what would Jesus do? Well, I think the gospel narratives are pretty clear. Jesus would have flipped his shit over this sort of nonsense in his Father's house. This is the sort of behavior that gives Christianity a bad name, and it speaks to Kathy being the sort of wolf in sheep's clothing that Jesus warned his followers to beware of, people who would come and use his name to cover for bad behavior. Jesus welcomed all. Under his teachings, no person can be said to be not anyone's daughter's son, because Jesus specifically and repeatedly taught that all people are the daughters and sons of God. And how can a daughter of God not be welcome at an event in her Father's house? Kathy ruined her own life by putting her desire to exclude before her faith. Kathy doesn't need to be organizing any church events until she gets herself right with God and Jesus and learns to be a good representative of the faith she claims to hold. Right now, she's pushing people away from the church by being nasty and claiming nastiness in the name of Jesus. Way to be a warrior for your faith by seeing to it that a wolf in sheep's clothing was removed from a position where she was causing damage.
Not the a-hole, and please, please, please don't feel bad that the angry old woman ruined her own position at the church. I was raised in a church, but my family fell out when people like Kathy started taking all the leadership positions and no one stood up to them. That church has since become a haven for hatred, and it makes me so sad. People like Kathy give religious people a bad name and don't deserve and power within the church.
How very Christian of Kathy to throw the loss of her parents back into your daughter-in-law's face. Her own selfish and cruel behavior is what ruined whatever standing she had. Who the fuck thinks uninviting someone from an event they are volunteering with is a good idea? I'd take the daughter-in-law out for ice cream as penance, not the a-hole.
Am I the a-hole for making my bridesmaid wear a dress that makes her look fat? I, 26 female, have always loved the aesthetics of the Regency era, and I wanted to incorporate it in my wedding. So I decided that my bridesmaids will wear empire waist dresses, like the ones seen in Bridgerton or Pride and Prejudice. Nearly all of my bridesmaids love this idea. However, one of my bridesmaids, 27 female, is very mad at me for insisting that they wear empire waist dresses. She claims that the dress looks unflattering on her due to her body proportions. She has broad shoulders, a large chest, large arms, a small waist, and thin legs. She claims that due to the high waistline and her large chest, her waist appears much larger than it actually is. She also says that that type of dress emphasizes her thick arms. She told me that those dresses made her look fat and triggered her past body dysmorphia and insecurities. She asked me if she could modify her dress to define her figure, but I said all the bridesmaids had to wear the same dress and I didn't want her to stand out. She said I was being selfish and that I wasn't taking into account other people's body types. I said she was acting extremely entitled. It's my wedding and I shouldn't have to cater to her insecurities. Am I the a-hole?
I really appreciate the brides who choose the comfort of their bridesmaids over an aesthetic. The trend of selecting a color and letting the attendants choose flattering styles is awesome. You should work with your party to cultivate your vision without making them feel ugly. Ask her to find a dress that works better but still fits your ideas. And let the other attendants do the same so the variety is intentional. I get you want what you want, but she's a people, not a prop. She's doing this and spending money and free time because she loves you so much. Can't you love her enough in return to just make a compromise? If you wanted perfection, you should have held a casting call with size and height requirements and a contract. This is a big favor she's doing in addition to it being an honor you've given. Try to remember that. That being said, if she's an incredibly difficult person who is doing this to be dramatic and you expect more accommodations that are not reasonable, you can politely let her know she's okay to step down and be a beloved guest. Edit, you are the a-hole.
Agreed. I gave my bridesmaids a color and let them pick the style they wanted. I had happy and comfortable bridesmaids. Bonus. They had a dress they could wear again, and I still got my look. Also agree that if you have given compromises and she's just being difficult, to let her come as an invited guest. But there's nothing wrong with some tailoring so she's comfortable if it doesn't turn into a whole different dress.
OP is treating her as a minion, not a friend. I get having an aesthetic, but man, if you're expecting your friends to spend hundreds of dollars on this day for you, the least you could do is try to be compassionate and consider the feelings of the people you call friends.
Exactly. You are the a-hole OP. It'd probably be healthier for everyone if you just hired a guild of actresses instead. That way you could tell them that their waist-to-shoulder ratio is their problem and pick someone else. Bonus, just Photoshop your friends' heads onto their bodies for pictures that last.
What do you think of these stories? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos.